Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, Sagittarius, if this is your sun sign, then your annual mop-up period is about to begin towards the end of this month. That's the 30 days before your birthday, which is the most powerful time of the year to get a birthday reading so that you can begin your year in with the most clarity and drive, motion. You'll find a link to help you get a birthday reading in the description that comes with this video. Well, October begins with Moon and Mercury activity and finishes up with some wonderful relationship stuff. And so to start at the beginning, we have a full moon in Aries on October 9th. Right here is the moon in the 5th house opposite the sun in the 11th house. And this is a complex moon. We're calling it arguments that wound and dialogues that heal, coming as it does during a Juno retrograde when we're all re-examining our relationships. This one could lead to some arguments, and I want to caution you particularly that because the Moon and Chiron fall together in your 5th house, that you might have some ego invested in those arguments. So do your best to not come at your partner from a place of woundedness and anger during this moon on the 9th. You might find some help from a friend or a community member to help you get through this possibly difficult moon in your relationship. So Julia, I know that there's some Mercury activity at the beginning of the month. What's that good stuff?
Oh my goodness. Yes, there certainly is. So Mercury is the planet of communication and mentation. And if you've been following our videos, you know that Mercury has been retrograde. So very early in the month on October 2nd, Mercury finally goes direct, thus ending this annoying 3-week Mercury retrograde cycle we've all been in. And this is all happening in your 10th house. So for the past few weeks, you may have had miscommunications in the workplace because that's the area of life the 10th house represents. The 10th house is also our authority figures. So an authority figure is anyone who tells you what to do in your life. Sometimes that's your parents at different stages of life. Sometimes it's a teacher if you're in school, or maybe even an employer or boss. So you may have had a lot of misunderstandings with authority figures, and you may have also been rethinking and reviewing, because those are key Mercury retrograde terms, your career in general. Maybe you're thinking, should I switch it up a little bit? Should I try a new job? Should I pivot in some ways? So this has been an intense period of a review, which is finally coming to a close. Now, by October 10th, Mercury moves into your 11th house of friends. So when Mercury moves into the 11th, it's a time where your social life might pick up a bit. The 11th house not just rules your friends, but also the groups you're a part of. So you might find yourself, getting more calls, phones, texts, emails from your buddies, or perhaps if you're a part of any groups like a union, a professional society, a club, a gamer circle, there might be a lot more connections going on there as well. This might also be a time where your mind is preoccupied with your hopes, wishes, and dreams too, because the 11th house represents our long-term goals in life as well. And then finally, Mercury is all over the board this month. On the 29th, at the very end of the month, kind of a couple days before Halloween, Mercury is going to move into your 12th house. And so, Mercury in the 12th is definitely a bit of a different feel than Mercury in the 11th. The 12th house is the house of isolation. It's the house of the subconscious. And when Mercury moves into the 12th, we tend to be a lot less inclined to sort of reach out and connect more with communicating with others. Like we might be more inclined to keep our thoughts to ourselves, maybe a little bit less interested in a lot of phone calls and texts from the outside world. And it tends to be a time when our thoughts become a lot more internalized as well. There's also big news going on with Mars too this month. So Mars has been slowing down a lot in the sign of Gemini. Mars has been in Gemini for a little while now, and he's going to keep staying in this sign. So at the very end of the month, Mars is going to go retrograde in Gemini. And all of this is taking place in your 7th house. This is the house that rules your long-term romantic relationship. And it can also rule just on other levels, any type of partnership you're in, really. So if you've got a business partner, that would totally count. And if you do hire people, contractors for advice, they're also ruled by the 7th. Doctors, lawyers, social media consultants, all of that is 7th house, kind of the 7th house area. So with Mars really slowing down and then finally putting the brakes on by the end of the month, this might be a time of increased frustrations and even conflict in this area of your life. Maybe you're just really not seeing eye to eye with your partner. You might have to kind of sort of go back and redo previous actions, or maybe even revisit other arguments you guys have had in the past, because this is a retrograding Mars too. And it also might be a time where you're a bit frustrated with your business partner, maybe even feeling like the people that you've been seeking advice from, you might want to switch it up a little bit, or you might be reviewing and rethinking your contractors too during this cycle. So this is going to be a long period of Mars in the 7th, but it's really highlighting, the relationships, the one-to-one relationships in your life, and some frustrations and conflicts may arise. But there's also opportunity with Mars, because this is a planet of action and activity, for getting tons of work done with a partner. So if you've got a business partner, just throw yourself into work with her or him. And if you've got a relationship, a romantic relationship, maybe this is a time of you guys having to redo certain projects in your life, but get really physical and active too. And that can really help the cycle out. Then finally, I'm going to talk about relationships a little bit in more depth here, because we're going to look at the planet Venus. She's the planet that rules all sorts of relationships, especially romantic ones, but she starts the month in your 11th house of friends. So there is a big emphasis on the friends in your life during this cycle. So if you're having some crunchiness with your partner, maybe connecting with friends is going a lot easier. So Venus in the 11th, nice social period, really feeling like you can bond. Maybe you make some new friends along the way too with Venus in the 11th. That's also possible. And you might even find some pleasure and enjoyment from the groups in your life too. Now, October 22nd is a very important day to keep track of, because we call that Relationship Rapture Day. And this is when Venus is exactly conjoined the sun, and it's going to happen at 29 degrees Libra. Venus is super strong in Libra as well. And this is a time when relationships and love can move forward a bit more swiftly as well. So even if you're having a few arguments, maybe your partner's annoying you, maybe you're not seeing eye to eye on everything, you're definitely getting some help from Venus in this Relationship Rapture Day, where you might even, be able to have, you might be able to progress a little bit more swiftly in your relationships as well. Then by October 23rd, so really a day after that, Venus is going to enter your 12th house, where it's going to be for the rest of the month. And the 12th house, as I mentioned earlier, it's an isolated house. And when Venus goes in the 12th, that tends to be a time where we really sort of withdraw from social activities. If you have a partner, you want to spend more time one-on-one with them, maybe at home, maybe off in a camping trip together, just sort of away from the public eye or the eyes of the world. And Venus in the 12th can sometimes mean that someone you love might be going through a bit of a mini crisis. You know, maybe they're going through a hard time at work or something of that nature. And you can really be there for them during this time too. And that can actually make the relationship a lot stronger as well. So lots of relationship stuff going on this month. And I know Jamie has more to say about that because we've got eclipses and there's even some interesting stuff about Juno too.
Yes, that's right. So right here in amongst all of these things, we see that there's a seasonal change happening. The sun is going to leave Libra and move into Scorpio. And so Libra season has been going on, bringing our attention to relationships very much. And when the sun moves into Scorpio, it brings our attention towards intimacy, more the deeper, more emotional, multi-layered aspect of our relationships. And wherever the sun goes, we want to take the light of our high quality attention, because if we shine that light in the house where the sun is, then things can thrive and grow there. So the sun begins this horoscope month with a placement in the 11th house, bringing your attention to your social life. And then as it moves into the 12th house, this is really the beginning of your mop-up period. This is where you, Sagittarius, start to feel that you're ready to let go of the themes of the previous year. You may feel like you're ready to withdraw a little bit. You kind of want to, pull inward and maybe take a little retreat or find a haven for yourself for this 30-day mop-up period before your birthday. And that's a great thing to do, because cultivating and shining the light inward is just as valuable as shining it outward. So all these things are happening at once. The sun is moving into Scorpio, bringing our attention more towards depth and intimacy, while Venus conjuncts the sun and relationship rapture day is happening, while Venus is moving as fast as she ever does. And so we'll feel that spark of desire to begin new relationships or to rebirth ones that have gone through a recent transformation during Juno retrograde. So on October 23rd, Juno, which has been retrograde since July, late July, Juno will go direct. And so this relationship retrospection that we've all been involved in is getting ready for closure. And in your case, Sagittarius, with Juno traveling your 4th house while retrograde, this has really come down in your domestic sphere. And so if you have a domestic partnership or a co-parent of your children or, literally a spouse, this is probably where you've really seen this Juno retrograde play out. And it certainly had its difficult aspects. It's hard to go through a period where you're looking at your history, your relationship history and the history of your relationship, and asking yourself, what is the meaning really behind this relationship? And do I feel like this relationship is living into its meaning? Do I feel a deep soul connection to this partner? At this point, with Juno retrograde coming to a close and Juno turning direct, you can come to the conclusion of that inward process. And from here, Juno will speed up slowly, the way it always does. It starts with a shadow period where it's speeding up very, very slowly. And so it'll take some time, a couple of weeks, to pick up all the pieces. And very early in Juno's shadow period, here on the 25th, we have the second moon of this month, which is a new moon, which falls right here in that 12th house that Julia was talking about. This is where Venus and the sun meet up. The sun has moved in here recently, and this is your, annual mop-up period house. It's a house of deep introversion, and Venus actually loves to be in this house because I like to say that this is the house where the human love of Venus becomes elevated to the quality of universal love, bringing in the compassion and the idealism that that the 12th house has to offer. Bringing that to the realm of Venus could spell a new love coming your way. And it is important to be cautious and to not move towards that too quickly and cross barriers too quickly, because it might seem otherworldly and amazing. And it might turn out to be that way, or it might not. I think it's important to, stay grounded if something like that happens around this eclipse, which is on October 25th. And you can find out a lot more about this eclipse and also the full moon earlier in this month on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, in the October 2022 news playlist, and also on our forecast page on our website, pandoraastrology.com, where you'll find all the news of the month. And if you liked this horoscope, you should check out your other horoscope. Whether this is your sun sign and you haven't seen the horoscope for your rising sign, or whether this is your rising sign and you want to check out your sun sign horoscope, definitely check them both out. And until next time, Sagittarius, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.